I'm the regional director for this chain, he said evenly, his voice carrying an authority that silenced the room. I oversee every location, including this one. A collective gasp rippled through the store as customers exchanged wide-eyed glances. The employee, now visibly shaken, stammered, I didn't know. Her voice trailed off, and she instinctively looked to the manager, who was frozen in place, caught between shock and panic. But the man wasn't finished. He turned to address the room, his gaze sweeping over the employees and lingering on the manager. I came here today not just as a customer, but to observe how this location operates. What I've seen is troubling. His tone was measured but carried an unmistakable edge. The manager stepped forward, attempting to regain control of the situation. Sir, I assure you, this is not how we usually operate. There must have been a misunderstanding, she said, her voice trembling. He held up a hand to stop her. The misunderstanding, he said sharply, is thinking it's acceptable to treat anyone this way, whether they're a customer, an employee, or the person in charge. He picked one up, examining the fine stitching, and the tension in the room grew heavier. At the counter, the store manager watched the scene unfold. She was torn between intervening and waiting to see how things played out. To her, the man didn't seem out of place. In fact, his presence carried an air of confidence she couldn't quite pin down. Yet the employee's unease started to feel contagious, and even she began questioning her instincts. As the man moved closer to the register, one of the employees finally stepped in front of him, blocking his path. Sir, she said, her voice firmer this time, if you're not planning to make a purchase, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. A heavy silence fell over the store. Customers stopped pretending to browse, their attention fully on the unfolding scene. The man tilted his head slightly, his expression thoughtful. You're asking me to leave because you think I don't belong here, he asked, his voice calm but with a sharpness that made everyone pause. The employee hesitated, suddenly aware that all eyes were on her. It's just store policy, she stammered, though the words didn't feel convincing, even to her. The man placed the jacket on the counter, his eyes never leaving hers. Interesting, he said, his tone measured. Because as far as I know, I had every intention of making a purchase. But now I'm curious, do you treat all your customers this way, or is it just me? The room was thick with tension, and the manager decided to step forward, sensing she had waited too long. But before she could speak, the man pulled out something from his pocket that left everyone stunned. The truth was about to unravel, and it would challenge every assumption they had made. The man reached into his pocket, pulling out a sleek black leather wallet. As he flipped it open, a shiny business card glinted under the store's bright lights. Calmly, he slid it across the counter toward the stunned employee. Her eyes darted to the card, her face draining of color as she read the bold, embossed text. It was an ordinary morning at a bustling diner, with waitresses weaving between tables and customers sipping their coffee. Among them was a well-dressed man quietly seated in the corner, scrolling through his phone. But what happened next would shock everyone in the restaurant. A waitress, visibly annoyed, walked up to his table, exchanged a few words, and then, without warning, poured a steaming cup of coffee right onto his lap. Gasps echoed through the room as customers froze in disbelief. What could have provoked such an extreme reaction? As the man calmly stood, the situation took an unexpected turn that no one, especially the waitress, saw coming. Unbeknownst to her, this wasn't just any customer. He was someone who could change her life forever. Stay tuned to find out how one impulsive act unraveled a shocking truth and left everyone stunned. Your introduction effectively sets the scene, creates suspense, and introduces the themes of judgment and accountability. Here's a refined version to enhance the flow and emotional impact. It was a bustling afternoon at an upscale clothing boutique, the kind of place where appearances seemed to carry extra weight. A confident black man entered, his sharp style matching the store's high-end racks of designer suits and accessories. Yet as he browsed, the atmosphere shifted. Quiet whispers passed between employees, their wary glances trailing him with every move. Finally, one of them stepped forward, her voice tinged with suspicion, and asked, "Can I help you?" But it didn't sound like an offer of assistance. What they didn't realize was that this man wasn't just any customer. He carried a title that would leave them utterly speechless and change their perspective forever. Stay tuned to discover the shocking twist in this powerful story about assumptions, accountability, and the lessons we can all learn about respect and humanity. The man paused for a moment, his calm demeanor unshaken by the employee's sharp tone. With a polite smile, he replied, "I'm just browsing, thank you." But her piercing gaze lingered, as though his presence itself was a question she needed answered. She didn't walk away. Instead, she subtly motioned to another employee, who quickly joined her, both now openly watching his every move. Meanwhile, other shoppers pretended not to notice, but their curious glances betrayed them. Whispers grew louder. "Does he even belong here?" Someone muttered under their breath. The man seemed unfazed, continuing to browse through the tailored jackets,